Hearken unto me, O ye souls seeking the light. The deepest bond in this world is not woven of blood, but of the spirit. Have you ever wondered, in the quiet of the night, why your child was born unto you? It is no mere accident of nature, nor a whim of fate. It is a sacred covenant, a promise made betwixt souls in the celestial realms long before the flesh was formed. Today, we shall unravel the mysteries of this unseen tie. Why do some children bring joy, while others bring tears? Why does love sometimes feel like a heavy chain? We shall walk through the valley of tears and ascend the mountain of wisdom, guided by the profound insights of the spiritual giant, Onisaburo Deguchi. Prepare your hearts, for the truth you are about to hear may burden you at first, but in the end, it shall set you free. This is the story of your soul's promise, and the reason for your tears. Chapter 1: The Valley of Tears. I bid thee welcome, weary travelers of life. Come, sit by the hearth of wisdom, and let us speak of the heavy burdens of the heart. In the long years of my pilgrimage, through the valleys of shadow and the peaks of light, a profound truth was revealed unto me. It is a truth that may pierce thy heart, yet it is necessary for the healing of thy soul. The bond betwixt a mother and her child is indeed the deepest in this world. But hearken well to my words, this bond is not merely of blood, but of the spirit. And often, it is not a bond of joy, but a bond of karma, forged in the fires of ages past. Let me recount to thee a tale, a memory etched into my soul from a winter long ago. It was a night deep in the grip of winter, when the snow lay heavy upon the mountains like a shroud of silence. I found myself visiting an ancient temple, hidden away from the clamor of the world. The air was biting cold, sharp as a blade, and the only sound was the wind howling through the old pines. There, in the corner of the main hall, beneath the dim light of a flickering oil lamp, sat a solitary figure. It was a mother, aged by time and sorrow, her back bent under an invisible weight. She was not praying in silence, she was weeping. Her voice was stifled, as if she feared to disturb the gods, yet her shoulders trembled with a grief too vast to contain. I watched her from the shadows, my heart aching for her plight. Eventually, a monk, wise and weathered like an old oak, approached her. He did not speak at first, but merely sat beside her, offering the comfort of his presence. Then, the dam of her silence broke, and she began to pour out her soul. Her voice, frail and trembling, echoed in the cold hall. "Reverend," she said, "I have a daughter whom I love more than life itself. I bore her in my womb for 9 months and 10 days, suffering the agony of the sea to bring her forth. When she was an infant, I held her through the long nights, denying myself sleep that she might rest. I gave her my milk, my warmth, my very life's blood. I sacrificed everything for her sake. But alas, she does not look at me." The mother's voice cracked with the bitterness of her tears. "She will not meet my gaze. She speaks to me with words of ice. It has been 3 years since she last crossed my threshold. 3 long years without a visit, without a kind word. Tell me, Reverend, what have I done wrong? What sin have I committed to deserve such coldness from the fruit of my own womb?" Dost thou hear her cry, my friend? Perhaps thou, too, hast felt this sharp sting of rejection. Perhaps thou hast poured thy love into a cup that refuses to be filled. The monk listened, his eyes closed, absorbing her pain as the earth absorbs the rain. Then, he spoke, and his voice was like a calm river amidst a storm. "Mother," he said gently, "thou hast not erred. Thou hast done no wrong in this life." The mother looked up, confusion mingling with her tears. "Then why?" she implored. "Why does she hate me so?" The monk replied, "It is not hatred, but a memory of the soul. Between thee and thy daughter, there lies a bond far older than this life. It is an ancient karma, a promise made in the mists of time, that now brings pain to you both. This suffering is not a punishment, but a reckoning of a debt long forgotten." I nodded deeply in the shadows as I heard these words. Verily, it is so. There are parents and children in this world who are connected by blood, yet their hearts are separated by an abyss. And there are those who share no blood, yet their souls are knit together as one. Why is this so? It is because the story of parent and child did not begin in the cradle. It began eons ago, in the vast tapestry of the soul's journey. The child who comes to a mother does not come by chance. Each child bears a specific mission, a unique purpose wrapped in the guise of innocence. Some come to repay a kindness, creating a garden of joy. But others come to collect a debt. Some come to observe, and some come to teach through pain. The relationship betwixt mother and child is never a mere accident. It is the thread of karma, woven by the great loom of the universe. Today, I speak to thee of these invisible bonds. I speak to thee, who art weeping in the dark, wondering why thy love is not returned. Why does one child cling to the mother, while another flees from her embrace? Why is one mother saved by her child, while another is tormented? If thou canst understand the answer, the burden upon thy heart shall be lightened. Thy tears have meaning. Thy suffering has a reason. It is the first noble truth of existence to live is to encounter suffering, but in understanding the cause, there is hope. Think upon the great prophet, Onisaburo Deguchi, a man who knew well the weight of destiny. Even he, a giant of the spirit, faced rejection and persecution. He knew that the fiercest battles are often fought not on the battlefield, but within the walls of one's own home, within the ties of kinship. His life was a testament to the fact that even the greatest souls choose difficult paths to polish their spirits. So, I ask thee, art thou ready to look beyond the veil of this life? Art thou brave enough to accept that the child who torments thee may be a messenger from the past? Do not turn away. Stay with me, for in the chapters to come, we shall uncover the specific faces of these souls. We shall see the child of repayment, the child of debt, and the child of mission. Thy story is written in the stars, and it is time to read it clearly. Let us walk this path together, for the night is long, but the dawn of understanding approaches. Chapter 2: The Burden of Shadows. Draw near, my friend, and let me speak to the shadow that dwells within thy heart. I see the burden thou carriest. It is a heavy stone, unseen by others, yet it weighs upon thy soul day and night. Thou lookest upon thy child and wonderest, why? Why is there a wall of ice where there should be a hearth of fire? Why does the fruit of thy womb feel like a stranger, or worse, an adversary? Do not hide thy tears, for I know the bitterness of thy cup. Thou art not alone in this valley of shadows. Consider, if thou wilt, the child who comes not to love, but to reclaim a debt of pain. I speak of the second child, the one who brings the storm. There was a mother in a village, a woman of gentle spirit, who was blessed with a daughter. But from the moment this child drew breath, she did not smile, she screamed. Day and night, the infant cried, a wailing that tore at the mother's sanity. The mother's body grew weary, her spirit frayed like an old rope. She poured her love into the child, speaking soft words, offering warm hands. But the daughter turned her face away. When the mother reached out, the child recoiled, as if burned by fire. In the child's eyes, there was a cold light, a gaze that looked not at the mother, but through her, at something dark and distant. Hast thou seen such eyes? Eyes that seem to judge thee for crimes thou dost not remember committing? The mother wept in the solitude of her heart, crying out, I love this child. Why does my love not reach her? Why is she so cold to the one who gave her life? It is not because the mother is wicked. Nay, it is not because of thy failings in this life. It is the echo of an ancient wound. The soul forgets nothing. Pain, resentment, betrayal, these are etched into the spirit's memory like carvings in stone. And when the wheel of life turns, these memories are carried into the new flesh. This child, the one who rejects thee, may have been deeply wounded by thee in a past life. Perhaps abandoned, perhaps sold, perhaps silenced. The pain is seared into their soul. Therefore, from the moment of birth, they reject the mother instinctively. It is not malice, it is the scream of a scarred soul. It is a cry that says, I remember the pain. One mother dreamed a dream of terror. In it, she was a woman of power, and before her stood a young girl who had broken a precious vessel. In a rage, the mother sold the girl to a distant, cruel place. The girl screamed, begging for mercy, but the mother turned a deaf ear. As she was dragged away, the girl vowed, I shall return to thee. When the mother awoke, she trembled, realizing that the girl in the dream was her own cold daughter. The law of cause and effect is absolute. If thou cuttest with a blade, blood must flow. The tears thou sheddest now may be the blood thou didst spill in ages past. But there is yet another form of shadow, a quieter, colder burden. I speak of the third child, the one who comes to settle a financial score. Listen to the tale of a mother who had a son. This son grew tall and strong, learned in the ways of the world, and successful in his trade. He built a grand house for his mother. He sent her gold, fine silks, and medicine every month. The mother lacked for nothing that money could buy. She slept in a warm room and ate the finest foods. Yet, her heart was a barren desert. Why? Because the son rarely came. When she wrote to him, his replies were brief and cold, I am well. Work is busy. When he did visit, he was restless, eager to depart. He sat on the edge of his seat, a stranger in fine clothes. When the mother reached for his hand, he pulled back, as if fulfilling a contract, not an embrace. One night, amidst the luxury of her home, the mother wept alone. I do not want this house, she cried to the empty air. I do not want this food. I want to laugh with my son. I want to feel his warmth. But that warmth was never given. Why is such a child so cold? Is he heartless? Nay, he is merely faithful to the contract of the soul. In a past life, this soul was a creditor to the mother. Perhaps she borrowed and did not repay, or perhaps she took what was not hers. The debt is recorded in the ledger of the spirit. So, in this life, he returns to collect. But mark this well, the contract includes only the material. The heart is not part of the bargain. He is not a son in spirit, he is a creditor. He builds the house, he sends the gold, for he is returning what was taken. But he does not give his heart, for he owes thee no love. Thou canst pour water into a vessel, but if the vessel is cracked, it will never be full. The mother seeks warmth, but the son offers only water to quench a physical thirst. This is the tragedy of the third child. And thou, my friend, dost thou feel this coldness? Dost thou feel like a debtor in thine own home? Do not blame the child. He is fulfilling his role with precision. Many souls do not even pay their debts, but this one does. He gives thee a roof, he gives thee bread. It is enough for the contract. But I know thy heart yearns for more. Thou yearnest for the bond that transcends duty. These are the burdens of shadows, the suffering, dukkha of our existence. To love and be rejected. To seek warmth and find only duty. It is a heavy cross to bear. But despair not, for knowing the nature of the burden is the first step to laying it down. Thou art not being punished by a cruel God. Thou art living out a story written by thine own soul long ago. The pain thou feelest is real, but it is not the end. It is a signal, a calling. Why have these souls returned to thee? Is it merely to suffer? Or is there a deeper purpose hidden in this tangled web of karma? Hold fast to thy courage, for in the next chapter, we shall unravel the mystery of the cause. We shall look into the very mechanism of how souls choose their mothers. We shall see why the threads of fate are knotted so tightly. Dry thy tears for a moment, and open the eyes of thy spirit. The truth is approaching, and it shall bring light to the shadows. Chapter 3: The Loom of Karma. Lift thine eyes from the shadows of the valley, and gaze upon the vast expanse of the heavens. We have spoken of the tears and the coldness that plague the heart. Now, we must ask the great question why? Why does the soul choose one mother over another? Why does the spirit descend into a specific womb, at a specific time? It is here, in the third chapter of our journey, that we unveil the cause of all things. We stand before the great loom of karma, where the threads of destiny are woven. Know this truth, which the ancients have whispered for eons. The soul does not perish when the body returns to dust. Consciousness, memory, and emotion, these are like a river that flows from one life to the next. When a soul prepares to cross the threshold of birth once more, it does not choose its vessel by rolling dice. Nay, it chooses based on, the sacred connection. What is this connection? It is the gravity of the soul. It draws together those who were deeply involved in a past existence. Those who loved, those who hated, those who saved, and those who killed. To the soul, love and hate are but two sides of the same coin. Both are powerful bonds that tie two spirits together. Therefore, becoming parent and child in this world is never a coincidence of blood. It is a deliberate promise of the soul. Consider the life of the great giant, Onisaburo Deguchi. Before he shook the nation, he was but a frail boy named Kisaburo, born in the 4th year of Meiji. He was born into a poor farming family in Kamioka. Why did a soul of such magnitude choose a cradle of poverty and sickness? Was it bad luck? Nay, it was a precise choice. For in that humble house lived his grandmother, Uno. She was a woman of deep wisdom, a keeper of the ancient lore and the secrets of Kotodama, the spirit of words. Because he was too weak to attend school, he sat at her feet. From her lips to his ears, the ancient wisdom of Japan flowed like a golden stream. He was called 8 Ears, the prodigy who heard the voices of the gods. Had he been born into a wealthy merchant's house, or a busy soldier's family, the giant Onisaburo would never have awakened. His soul chose the grandmother who held the key to his destiny. Dost thou see? The soul seeks the environment necessary for its growth, or for the payment of its debts. Let us speak now of the first child, the one who comes to repay a kindness. This is the child of Hoon, the repayment of grace. Perhaps thou knowest such a child. In a certain village, a mother was blessed with a son. From the moment he was born, he was as gentle as the spring breeze. He did not cry in the night. When his mother looked weary, he would silently fetch water for her. Neighbors whispered, "That child is a gift from heaven. Why is such a child so tender?" It is not by chance. In a past life, this soul was saved by the mother. Perhaps she gave him bread when he was starving, or saved him from the sword. That gratitude is etched into the very core of his spirit. Therefore, from the moment of his birth, his instinct is to protect her. It is not a learned duty, it is a soul's memory. When the mother sighs, this child runs to rub her back, saying, "Mother, take thy rest." If she falls ill, he sits by her pillow, vigilant through the long night. Even when grown, though he may travel far, he always returns to her side. This is not obligation. It is a love that seeks to balance the scales of grace. If thou sow west seeds of kindness, flowers will bloom. This child is the beautiful flower blooming from the good seeds thou didst sow in a past life. But hearken to me, for here lies a dangerous trap. Even in this garden of gratitude, weeds may grow if the gardener is careless. Mother, beware. Do not think this child's kindness is thy due right. Do not burden him with all thy happiness. Water fills the vessel only until it is full. If thou pourest too much, the water overflows and stains the ground. If thou demandest too much of his life, saying, "You are my everything," the blessing turns to a curse. The debt of gratitude becomes a heavy chain. Kindness turns to suffering. And if his heart breaks under the weight of thy need, in the next life, the roles may reverse. He may come next time not to repay kindness, but to collect the debt of freedom thou didst steal. The bond betwixt mother and child is not a single act. It is a play performed over many lifetimes. How thou treatest this gentle child determines the script of the next life. Now, cherish him. Be grateful for him, but do not cling to him like a drowning woman clinging to a log. Walk thine own path. Live thine own life. That is the way to keep the bond of gratitude beautiful and strong. We have seen the dark shadow of the debt collector, and the bright light of the grateful child. But there are other visitors from the heavens, souls who come not for debt, nor for love, but for a purpose far stranger. Souls who look at the world with eyes that see beyond the veil. In the next chapter, we shall meet the observer, the child who sits quietly, watching the wind, asking questions that frighten the elders. Prepare thy mind, for we venture deeper into the mystery of the soul's purpose. The loom of karma weaves complex patterns, and thou art beginning to see the design. Chapter 4: The Silent Observer. We have spoken of debts paid and debts collected, of love given and love withheld. But there is another kind of soul that descends from the stars. A soul that fits neither the mold of the debtor nor the creditor. This is the fourth child, the observer. Hast thou ever looked into the eyes of a child and felt as though thou wert being weighed in a balance? Hast thou felt that behind those innocent eyes lies an ancient wisdom, silently recording thy every move? If so, draw near, for we speak now of the seekers of truth. In a certain village, there lived a child who was a mystery to all. While other children ran in the fields, shouting and playing with toys, this child sat apart. He sat upon a rock, still as a statue, gazing up at the vast canvas of the sky. His mother, troubled by his silence, would ask, "What art thou looking at, my child?" And the child would answer, with a voice calm and deep, "I am watching the clouds move. I see the wind." His eyes were not the eyes of a child, they were dark pools, reflecting a world not of this earth. As he grew, he did not seek the company of many friends, nor did he care for the games of youth. One day, when he was but 6 years old, he turned to his mother with a grave expression. "Mother," he asked, "why are men born? Why do they die? And when they die, whither do they go?" The mother was struck dumb with astonishment. Why would a babe ask such things? Was he possessed? Was he ill? "Nay, mother, he is neither ill nor mad. He is a soul who has traveled long and far. This child is one who, in a past life, walked the path of the ascetic. Perhaps he was a monk in a mountain temple, or a hermit in a desert cave, seeking the way. His soul has spent eons searching for the ultimate truth, the reason for existence. But he has not yet reached the final shore of enlightenment. Therefore, he has returned once more to the realm of flesh. His purpose is not to make thee happy, nor to make thee suffer. His purpose is simply to see, to observe the comedy and tragedy of human life. Why do people weep? Why do they laugh? Why do they fight over trifles? He watches it all, records it all, seeking to understand the mechanism of the heart. To this child, thou, his mother, art a subject of deep study. He watches thy anger, thy joy, thy hypocrisy, and thy love. It is not a cold observation, but a profound curiosity. Consider the youth of the master, Onisaburo Deguchi. Before he became a leader of millions, he was a soul lost in the wilderness of the world. He tried his hand at business, mining, manufacturing, seeking a place in the ordinary world. But his spirit could not be satisfied with gold or grain. In the spring of his 27th year, a heavy darkness fell upon his heart. His father passed away, his body was broken, his path seemed blocked on every side. It was then that the observer within him awoke. Guided by a divine messenger, he retreated to the sacred Mount Takakuma. There, in a cold cave, cut off from the world of men, he fasted and prayed for 1 week. He plunged into the depths of his own soul. He observed the spirit world, the layout of the heavens and the hells. And in that silence, he found the answer he had sought for lifetimes. He realized he was not merely Kisaburo the milk seller, but a savior with a mission to heal the world. The observer became the awakener. So, I speak to thee, mother and father of such a strange child. Do not try to force this eagle to scratch in the dirt with the chickens. Do not impose upon him the values of the marketplace. Make more friends, thou sayest. Be more cheerful. Get a respectable job. These words are wind to him. They hold no meaning. He does not crave gold, nor does he seek the applause of the crowd. He seeks only one thing, truth, the essence of this world. Therefore, Thy duty is to watch over him in silence, as he watches the world. If he wishes to read ancient books, let him read. If he wishes to sit alone in the forest, let him be. If he says he must go on a journey, open the door and let him fly. His path is his own to find, it is not for thee to pave. He may leave thy house early. He may travel to lands unknown. Do not weep for this separation, for this child was never thine to own. He is alone from heaven, a entrusted soul. He belongs to the universe, and to the universe he must eventually return. That is the destiny of the observer. But take heart, for his presence in thy home is a sign of high honor. Heaven trusted thee enough to guard this seeker for a time. But what if the child who comes to thee is not strong, but weak? What if the child cannot walk, cannot run, cannot even speak as others do? Is this a punishment? Is this a tragedy? Nay, my friends, this is the rarest and most sacred of all visitors. Prepare thy hearts, for in the next chapter, we shall meet the fifth child. The messenger of light. The one who comes with a mission so deep, it transforms the very soul of the mother. The darkness is fading, and the dawn of redemption is at hand. Chapter 5: The Messenger of Light. We have journeyed through the valleys of death and the peaks of observation. But now, we ascend to the highest summit, where the air is thin and the light is blinding. Here, we meet the fifth child. This is the rarest of all souls, the child of mission. And verily, this is the child who brings the deepest and most profound teaching to the heart of a parent. Let me tell thee a story of a certain mother. When she was heavy with child, she dreamed of a future filled with laughter and running feet. But when the babe was born, the silence of the room was heavy. The child was frail, her body weak as a wilting flower. The physicians shook their heads with grave faces. She may never walk, they said. She may not live to see her 20th winter. The mother's heart was shattered into 1,000 pieces. She wept until her eyes were dry, crying out to the heavens, "Why? What sin have I committed? Why must my innocent child suffer in this broken vessel? Why me? Why us?" But as the moons turned to years, a strange miracle began to unfold within that house of sorrow. Though the girl's legs were withered, her spirit was a roaring fire of joy. Her eyes were brighter than the morning star. When she smiled, it was as if the sun had broken through a storm cloud, illuminating every dark corner of the room. When she said, "Thank you, Mother," with her imperfect, stumbling voice, the mother's heart was filled with a warmth she had never known. Before this child came, the mother admitted she was a woman of sharp edges. She was hasty, quick to anger, and deaf to the feelings of others. She took for granted the rising of the sun, the taste of water, the breath in her lungs. But in caring for this fragile life, the mother began to change. She became gentle, like a stone smoothed by a flowing river. She learned patience deeper than the ocean. She began to see the world with new eyes. The morning sun is beautiful, she thought. The song of the bird is a gift. The kindness of a neighbor is a treasure. Things she once ignored became daily miracles. She realized that life itself is not a right, but a fragile, precious privilege. Who is this child? What is the nature of this soul? Hearken to the truth. This child is a high spirit, one who has neared the end of the great cycle of reincarnation. In truth, such a soul had no need to return to this world of dust and tears. But this soul looked down from the high heavens and saw thee. It saw thy soul, stuck in its growth, in need of a great teacher. And so, out of pure, sacrificial love, this soul said, "I will go. I will take upon myself a body of pain, so that my mother may learn what true love is. I will lose my freedom of movement, so that she may find the freedom of her spirit." This child did not come to punish thee. This child came to save thee. The child is the master, thou art the student. The child is the physician, thou art the patient being healed of selfishness and pride. Therefore, mother, do not pity this child. Do not look upon her with eyes of sorrow, thinking her unfortunate. Her soul is far stronger than thine. She knows her mission. She bears her cross with a smile, for she knows it brings thee to the light. Think upon the history of our guide, Onisaburo. His destiny, too, was forged in the fires of a difficult union. In the autumn of 1898, he met a woman named Deguchi. She was an old woman, worn by a life of extreme poverty and tragedy, possessed by a fierce and demanding god, the general of the Northeast. Onisaburo was young, modern, and filled with bright, fluid energy. Now was the rigorous spirit, like scorching fire. Onisaburo was the auspicious spirit, like flowing water. When fire and water meet, there is steam, there is explosion, there is conflict. It was called the Battle of Fire and Water. Now's followers despised Onisaburo. They burned his writings, they mocked him, they imprisoned him within the sect. It was a relationship of immense suffering and friction. But was this a mistake? Was it a cruel joke of fate? Nay, it was the great design. Without the structure of Now's fire, Onisaburo's water would have spilled away formless. Without the wisdom of Onisaburo's water, Now's fire would have burned itself out, destroying everything. Through their conflict, through the pain of their union, a new world was born. They polished each other, they completed each other. The friction was the chisel that carved the masterpiece. So it is with thee and thy child of mission. The pain thou feelest is the friction of the chisel. It is carving thee into a statue of compassion, a monument of love. The child gives thee the greatest gift a human can receive, the opportunity to become divine while yet in the flesh. The time this child spends with thee may be short. Mission children often return to the stars quickly, for their work is intense and swift. But do not fear the end. Instead, cherish every moment as a diamond. Let thy tears flow, for it is natural to weep. But let thy final word not be, why, but thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for choosing me. Now, the clouds are parting. We have seen the different faces of the children, the repayer, the collector, the observer, and the messenger. Thou knowest now that thy child belongs to one of these sacred tribes. The question that remains is this: what must thou do? How dost thou break the cycle of pain? How dost thou turn the dead into a gift? The answer lies not in changing the child, but in a radical transformation of thine own heart. We stand now at the gate of the cessation of suffering. Prepare thyself, for in the next chapter, we shall enter the fortress of the soul. We shall learn the secret of true strength, as demonstrated by the giant who laughed in the face of tyranny. The path to freedom opens before thee. Chapter 6: The Fortress of the Soul. We have walked the long road of understanding. We have seen the faces of the children sent by fate, the debtors, the creditors, the observers, and the saviors. And now, thou askest the most urgent question of all. How do I untie this knot that strangles my heart? How do I find peace when my child turns away, or when the burden is too heavy to bear? The answer I give thee is simple, yet it is the hardest task in all the world. The only way to change the shadow on the wall is to change the object that casts it. The only way to change the child is for the mother to change herself. This is the law of the mirror. This is the third noble truth. The cessation of suffering comes from the cessation of craving and the transformation of the self. First, mother, thou must look into the mirror of thine own soul. If the mirror is clouded with dust, it cannot reflect the truth. Polishing the mirror means facing thine own heart. If there is anger, acknowledge it, and let it cool like ash. If there is resentment, open thy hand and let it fall like sand. If there is attachment, that sticky, desperate need to control, thou must loosen thy grip. When the water of thy mind is still, the moon of truth will reflect clearly upon it. But if the water is turbulent with thy needs and thy fears, thou wilt see only broken fragments. Let me tell thee of a man who became a fortress of the soul. A man who faced a storm far greater than any domestic quarrel, and stood unshaken. I speak again of Onisaburo Deguchi. It was the winter of 1935, a dark December dawn. The full weight of the Empire of Japan descended upon him. They called him a traitor, a monster. They arrested him and threw him into a cold, stone cell. But they did not stop there. They sought to erase his existence from the face of the earth. With dynamite, they blew his magnificent temples to dust. They crushed his art, burned his books, and persecuted his followers with a ruthlessness that makes the blood run cold. For nearly 7 years, he sat in the darkness. He was mocked, interrogated, and stripped of all dignity. Most men would have broken. Most men would have been consumed by a fire of hatred and a thirst for revenge. But what did the giant do? Did he curse his enemies? Did he plot his vengeance? Nay, he cultivated his soul. When the war ended, and the empire that crushed him lay in ruins, he walked free. The lawyers came to him, eager for justice. Master, they said, you were wronged. The government destroyed everything. We must sue them. We must demand compensation for every stone, every day of lost liberty. It was his right. It was the logic of the world. An eye for an eye. But Onisaburo shook his head. With a gaze clear as a mountain stream, he spoke words that should be etched in gold. Nay, he said, I shall not ask for a single coin. This suffering was the providence of God. It was a cleansing. If I demand money now, I squeeze the lifeblood of a people already defeated and starving. I forgive. I let it go. The slate is clean. Dost thou understand the magnitude of this victory? He did not merely defeat his enemies, he defeated the cycle of karma itself. If he had taken the money, the chain of resentment would have continued into the next generation. By refusing, by forgiving, he cut the knot forever. He proved that his happiness, his dignity, did not depend on external things, not on temples, not on reputation, not on gold. His cathedral was within his own heart, and no dynamite could touch it. This is the lesson for thee, my grieving friend. Thou art waiting for thy child to apologize. Thou art waiting for thy child to change, to become kind, to say, I love you. Thou art waiting for the compensation for all thy sacrifices. But as long as thou waitest, thou art a prisoner. Thou art in the jail of thine own expectations. Do not be the lawyer demanding payment. Be the giant who forgives. Stop asking, what about me? Stop saying, I gave you everything, now give it back. Dependence is the root of suffering. If thou reliest on thy child to be the source of thy joy, thou art building a house on shifting sand. Thy child is not thy property, thy child is a separate soul with their own journey. What must thou do? Thou must build thine own fortress. Find joy that is thine alone. Do not make the child the sun of thy solar system. Be thine own sun. If the child brings warmth, bless them. If the child brings cold, wrap thyself in the cloak of thine own spirit and remain warm. This is not to abandon the child. Nay, it is the opposite. Only when thou art strong, only when thou art whole, canst thou truly love them. A beggar cannot give alms. A mother starving for love cannot give true love, she can only trade. I give you milk, you give me smiles. That is a trade. I give you life, you give me obedience. That is a contract. True love says, I give because I overflow. I need nothing in return. When the mother changes, the vibration of the home changes. It is physics of the spirit. When thou ceasest to pull, the child ceases to pull away. When thou ceasest to demand, the child feels safe to approach. When thou forgivest the debt, the debtor is freed, and often, out of gratitude, they return. But even if they do not, thou art free, and that freedom is the cessation of suffering. Thou hast heard the truth of the mirror and the fortress. But how does one practice this in the chaotic days of life? Words are easy, deeds are hard. How do I speak to a child who hates me? How do I act when my heart is breaking? Fear not, we shall not leave thee with abstract philosophy alone. In the chapters to come, we walk the path, the fourth noble truth. We shall give thee 3 keys of gold: the word, the release, and the trust. The first key is in thy mouth. In the next chapter, we shall speak of the magic of Kotodama, the spirit of words. Prepare thy tongue, for it has the power to bless or to curse. Chapter 7: The Art of Words. We have stood in the fortress of the soul, learning that true strength lies in the independence of the mother's heart. Now, we must step out of the fortress and walk the path of daily life. This is the beginning of the path, the fourth noble truth. And the first step upon this path is taken not with the feet, but with the tongue. I ask thee, my friend, what is the most powerful weapon in thy house? Is it the sword? Is it the rod? Nay, it is the word. The tongue is a small member, yet it has the power to build cities or burn forests to the ground. In the ancient wisdom of the East, there is a sacred concept known as Kotodama. It means the spirit of words. It teaches us that a word is not merely a sound that vanishes into the air. A word is a living thing. It has a soul. It carries energy. When a word leaves thy lips, it does not die. It travels through the ether, and like an arrow, it finds its mark in the heart of the listener. Mother, I pray thee, look at the garden of thy child's heart. What grows there? Are there flowers of confidence and oaks of strength? Or are there weeds of doubt and thorns of fear? Know this, thou art the gardener, and thy words are the seeds. Every time thou speakest, thou art planting something. If thou sayest to thy child, why art thou so slow? Or, thou art clumsy like thy father, thou art planting seeds of failure. Thou mayest think, I am only teaching him, or, I am only speaking the truth. But the soul of the child does not hear the logic, it feels the curse. The clumsy enters the soil of his mind, and lo, he becomes clumsy. Kotodama, it is a spell thou castest upon thine own flesh and blood. Do not underestimate the power of a mother's voice. It is the first sound the child hears in the womb, and it is the sound that shapes their reality. Let us look again to the life of the master, Onisaburo. He was a man who understood the mystery of the word better than any other. In his life, he dictated 81 volumes of the Tales of the Spirit World. Reiki Monogatari. His words flowed like a mighty river, painting the universe in letters. But in his twilight years, after the great persecutions, after the prisons and the fires, he turned to a new language. He turned to art. Specifically, he turned to the clay. In the quiet of the mountains, the old giant began to make tea bowls. Not one or two, but 3,000 bowls in a single year. He worked with a fury and a joy that astounded all who saw him. These bowls were not perfect in shape, they were rough, wild, and bursting with color. They were called Yawan, the gleaming bowls. But here is the secret, the lesson for thee. While his hands shaped the wet clay, his lips were never still. He was constantly chanting prayers. He was singing holy songs. He poured the of gratitude and blessing into the very mud of the earth. Kotodama, he said, art is the mother of religion. He meant that creating beauty is the highest form of prayer. He did not mold the clay with criticism, he molded it with joy. He did not say to the bowl, be perfect, or I will break thee. He said, be thyself, and shine with the light of God. And to this day, those bowls radiate a strange and powerful energy that heals the hearts of those who hold them. Now, look at thy child. Thy child is the clay. Thou art the potter. But unlike the silent earth, this clay breathes and feels. How art thou shaping this vessel? Art thou molding it with the cold hands of duty and the sharp tools of criticism? Or art thou shaping it with the warm hands of prayer and the song of gratitude? I beseech thee, change the song thou singest in thy home. Words are the vibration that sets the tune of the house. If the mother's words are harsh, the air in the house becomes brittle and cold. If the mother's words are warm, the house becomes a temple. Here is a practice for thee, a small discipline for the path. Catch the negative seeds before they leave thy mouth. When thou feelest the urge to say, why canst thou not do this? Pause. Take a breath, swallow that sword. Instead, say, let us try together. When thou wantest to scream in frustration, you are impossible. Pause. Whisper instead, you are growing, and I am watching. And most importantly, use the ultimate word of power, thank you. Say it to the air. Say it to the walls. Say it to the child's sleeping face. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing me. Even if the child is angry, even if the child is distant, let the of gratitude fill the space between you. Kotodama, the vibration of gratitude is the strongest force in the universe. It melts the ice. It opens the doors that have been rusted shut. Thou needest not be a saint. Thou needest not be perfect. Thou only needest to be careful with thy seeds. Every morning is a new season for planting. Start today. Speak life. Speak hope. Speak light. However, words alone, no matter how sweet, cannot hold a bird that yearns for the sky. Sometimes, the greatest act of love is not what we say, but what we let go. We have learned to speak. Now we must learn to open our hands. In the next chapter, we shall speak of the wings of freedom. We shall learn the hardest lesson of all: forgiveness and release. The bird is waiting at the door of the cage. Art thou ready to open it? Chapter 8: The Wings of Freedom. Come now, and walk with me further along the path. We have learned to guard our tongues and to plant seeds of light with our words. But there is a lesson harder yet, a mountain steeper than any we have climbed. It is the lesson of the open hand. It is the lesson of release. I ask thee a question, Mother, and I pray thee, answer it in the silence of thy heart. To whom does thy child belong? To me, thou sayest. I bore him. I raised him. He is mine. Ah, here lies the root of 1,000 tears. Here lies the chain that binds both thee and thy child in a prison of suffering. For in the eyes of heaven, no soul belongs to another. Thy child is not thy property. Thy child is a guest from the great beyond, a soul entrusted to thy care for a season. Think of a bird, magnificent and wild, with feathers of gold and eyes of obsidian. If thou lovest this bird, what dost thou desire for it? Dost thou desire to lock it in a cage, even a cage of gold, so that it may sing only for thee? Or dost thou desire to see it spread its wings and soar into the infinite blue, even if it flies far from thy sight? To love is to set free. To cling is to suffocate. If thou holdest sand tightly in thy fist, it slips through thy fingers. But if thou openest thy hand flat, the sand remains. So it is with the souls of our children. Let me tell thee a tale of high adventure, a story that sounds like a myth but is written in the history of men. It is the story of our guide, Onisaburo, and his journey to the vast lands of Mongolia. It was the year 1924, and the giant's heart could no longer be contained within the small islands of Japan. He dreamed of a kingdom of heaven on earth, a spiritual utopia where all religions were one. With a handful of companions, including the master of martial arts, Morihei Ueshiba, he crossed the sea. He rode into the endless steppes of Mongolia, claiming himself to be a savior, a Dalai Lama of the new age. He gathered an army of volunteers, marching under the banner of peace. Canst thou imagine the audacity? The sheer freedom of spirit? He did not fear the unknown, he embraced it. But the world is often cruel to dreamers. A powerful warlord, fearing Onisaburo's influence, sent an army to crush him. At a place called Paintara, the dream seemed to end. Onisaburo and his companions were captured. They were led out to a desolate field, the dry wind of the continent whipping their faces. Before them stood a row of soldiers, rifles raised, fingers on the triggers. Death was but a heartbeat away. Most men would have collapsed in terror. Most men would have begged for their lives, weeping and bargaining with fate. But what did Onisaburo do? He stood tall, gazing at the vast Mongolian sky. And in that moment of ultimate peril, he composed a poem. A death poem, recited with a smile upon his lips. Even if my body is exposed in the fields of Mongolia, the dignity of a Japanese man shall not fall. He was ready to die. He had no attachment to his life. He had released everything, his ambition, his body, his future. And in that moment of total surrender, a miracle occurred. At the very second the order to fire was to be given, a messenger arrived. The execution was halted. His life was spared. Because he was willing to let go of life, life was returned to him. Dost thou see the lesson here? He walked through the valley of the shadow of death with the wings of freedom. He was free because he did not cling. Now, look at thine own life. What art thou clinging to? Art thou clinging to the image of who thy child be? He must be a doctor. She must be obedient. He must live near me. Should. These expectations are the bars of a cage. They suffocate the child, and they torment thee. When the child fails to meet thy picture, thou sufferest. But the fault lies not in the child, it lies in the picture thou holdest so tight. And there is another form of clinging, unforgiveness. The second noble truth is that attachment causes suffering. And the heaviest attachment of all is a grudge. Perhaps thou art angry at thy child for leaving. Perhaps thou art angry at a partner, or a parent, or the world itself. I cannot forgive, thou sayest. They hurt me. But listen to me, holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Thou art the one swallowing the poison. Thou art the one chained to the past. Forgiveness is not a gift to the offender. It is a gift to thyself. It is the key that unlocks the door of thy prison. Mother, I beseech thee, release thy child. Release them from the burden of thy happiness. Say to them in thy heart, you are free. You do not owe me. Go, and live your life. This does not mean you stop loving. It means you love them enough to let them be who they are. It means you trust the universe enough to know that what is truly yours can never be lost. When you open the cage, the bird flies. Yes, there is silence in the house. Yes, there is a space where the noise used to be. But do not fear the silence. That empty space is where God enters. That solitude is the garden where thine own soul can finally bloom. The child is an arrow, and thou art the bow. The bow bends until it breaks to send the arrow flying. Once the arrow has flown, the bow's work is done. Do not run after the arrow. Stand firm, and watch its flight with pride. Say, fly, my arrow. Go where I could not go. This is the dignity of the parent. This is the wings of freedom. We have learned to speak with light. We have learned to release with love. Now, there remains one final step on our journey. When we have done all we can, when we have polished the mirror, spoken the word, and opened the hand, what is left? Only one thing remains. It is the anchor that holds us in the storm. It is the quiet power that turns night into day. In the next chapter, we shall speak of trust. Not trust in the fleeting things of this world, but trust in the grand design. The tapestry is almost complete. Stay with me, for the final revelation awaits. Chapter 9: The Grand Design. We stand now upon the precipice of the final understanding. We have learned to guard our tongues with the spirit of words. We have learned to open our hands with the wings of freedom. But there is one final key, one last golden thread that weaves the entire tapestry together. It is the hardest of all virtues to master. It is the virtue of trust. Not trust in men, who are fallible. Not trust in riches, which rust and fade. But trust in the grand design of the universe. I ask thee, traveler, when the storm rages and the waves crash over the bow of thy ship, what dost thou do? Dost thou scream at the wind? Dost thou command the ocean to be still? Nay, such arrogance belongs to fools. The wise captain adjusts his sails, holds the wheel firm, and trusts that the storm has a purpose. He trusts that the morning sun will rise, for it has never failed to rise since the dawn of time. So it is with the life of thy child. Thou lookest at thy situation today, and perhaps thou seest only chaos. Thy child is distant. Thy heart is breaking. The future looks dark. Where is the light? Thou criest. Has God forgotten me? Hearken to me, the darkness is not a sign of abandonment. It is a necessary season. It is the winter that must come before the spring. Let us turn our eyes once more to the giant, Onisaburo Deguchi. He was not merely a teacher, he was a prophet who saw the threads of time. Long before the black rain fell, long before the sky turned to fire, he saw the fate of his nation. During his trials, he stood in the court and spoke words that chilled the blood of the judges. Tokyo, he said, shall be flattened. It shall become a field of Suzuki no grass. He saw the B-29s. He saw the atomic flash. He saw the defeat of the empire. When he was released on bail in 1942, his family rejoiced. But he looked at them with sad eyes and said, "My release marks the beginning of Japan's defeat." And verily, on that very day, the tide of war turned in the far southern seas at Guadalcanal. His words were not guesses, they were readings of the cosmic script. But here is the mystery I wish for thee to grasp. Onisaburo did not weep in despair for this destruction. He did not curse the fate that brought ruin to his land. When the war ended and the cities lay in ash, he said, "This is the providence of God. It is good." The old shell had to be broken so the new could be born. God has washed away the arrogance and the militarism. Now, we can truly build peace. He saw the catastrophe not as a tragedy, but as a surgery. It was painful, yes. It was bloody, yes. But it was necessary to save the patient's soul. Mother, father, apply this high wisdom to thine own home. Perhaps the trouble with thy child is not a disaster. Perhaps it is a surgery. Maybe the rebellion of thy daughter is breaking the old, rigid traditions of thy family that no longer serve life. Maybe the coldness of thy son is forcing thee to find thine own independence, which thou hast neglected for too long. Maybe the illness of the child is the fire that burns away the petty selfishness of the parents, leaving only pure love. Nothing is accidental. Everything, every tear, every shout, every silence, is part of the grand design. It is all moving towards a higher good. Canst thou believe this? Canst thou stand in the middle of the ashes and say, "This, too, is necessary"? This is the third and final key belief. I give thee now the Trinity of the path. 3 words to carry in thy bosom forever. The first is gratitude kancha. No matter who the child is, no matter the pain, say, "Thank you for coming to me." The second is yurushi. If thou holdest a stone of resentment, drop it. Forgive thyself, and forgive the child. Forgiveness. The third is shinjira. Believe that the story has a happy ending. Belief. Time may be required. It may take years. It may take lifetimes. But the road always leads to the light. Do not judge the entire journey by this one dark section of the road. When thou readest a book, and the hero is in peril, dost thou close the book and say, "It is over"? Nay, thou turnest the page, knowing that the resolution awaits. Thy life is that book. Thy child's life is that book. Do not close it yet. Keep turning the pages with patience and faith. If thou art suffering now, it means the lesson is deep. Great souls are given great tests. Small souls are given small tests. If thy burden is heavy, it is a compliment from heaven. It means heaven knows thou hast the strength to carry it. So, lay down thy anxiety. Anxiety is a prayer for what thou dost not want. Worry is a misuse of thine imagination. Instead, use thy mind to envision the light. See the thread that connects thee to thy child, not as a chain of iron, but as a beam of light. It stretches from the past, through the present, and into the infinite future. The current struggle is but a knot in that thread. With the fingers of gratitude, forgiveness, and trust, thou canst untie any knot. We are nearing the end of our time together. The sun is setting on our long talk. We have traversed the past, the present, and the hidden laws of the spirit. But what lies beyond? What happens when the curtain of this life finally falls? Does the bond end? Does the love fade? Nay, my friends, the end is but a new beginning. In the final chapter, we shall speak of the eternal reunion. We shall look past the veil of death to the promise that awaits us all. Dry thy tears, for the best is yet to come. The soul never says goodbye, it only says, "Until we meet again." Chapter 10: The Eternal Reunion. We have walked a long and winding road together, thou and I. We have traversed the valleys of sorrow, climbed the peaks of understanding, and stood in the fortress of the soul. Now, the sun begins to set upon our journey. But as the light of this world fades, the stars of the next begin to shine. Let us speak, in this final chapter, of the greatest mystery of all. Let us speak of the end, which is no end at all. Let us speak of the eternal reunion. Thou lookest upon thy child, and perhaps thou fearest the day of parting. Whether it be the parting of distance, when they leave thy home to seek their fortune, or the final parting of death. The human heart trembles at the thought of goodbye. It feels like a door slamming shut forever. But hearken to the truth that the giant, Onisaburo, left behind as his final gift. In the winter of 1948, the great soul prepared to depart from his earthly vessel. He had lived a life of storms and miracles. He had been a poor boy, a milk seller, a prophet, a prisoner, and an artist. He had built kingdoms and seen them destroyed, only to build them again in the hearts of men. At the age of 76, his body, worn by the fierce winds of his destiny, finally came to rest. On the 19th day of January, he quietly slipped the bonds of the flesh. But did he vanish? Did his voice fall silent? Nay, look around thee. Decades have passed, yet his spirit is more alive today than when he walked the earth. The seeds he planted have grown into mighty forests. The martial art of, founded by his disciple Ueshiba, spreads the message of peace to every corner of the globe. Aikido, his prophecies continue to unfold with eerie precision, whispering to us that time is but a circle. His Yawan bowls still gleam with the fire of his prayers, healing those who touch them. He proved, through his very existence, that the soul is not bound by the limits of the body. He is not gone, he has merely expanded. He has returned to the source, becoming a part of the light that guides us all. And so it is with thee and thy child. The bond that binds you is not woven of flesh and blood, which perish. It is woven of spirit, which is eternal. This world is but a stage, a temporary theater where we wear the masks of parent and child. We play our parts. We laugh, we weep, we fight, we embrace. And when the curtain falls, we do not cease to be. We simply take off the masks. We return to the green room of heaven, where we are all brothers and sisters of light. Imagine, if thou wilt, the moment when thy soul finally lays down the heavy burden of this life. Thou closest thine eyes to the shadows of the earth, and openest them to the brilliance of the great beyond. The pain is gone, the worry is washed away, and there, waiting for thee at the gate of light, is a familiar face. Perhaps it is the child who left thee too soon. Perhaps it is the child who was cold to thee in life, now smiling with a warmth that burns like the sun. In that realm, there are no secrets. Thou wilt see clearly why everything happened. Thou wilt see the threads of karma that connected you. And that soul will take thy hand and say, "Welcome home." We played our parts well, did we not? I caused thee pain to teach thee strength. Thou gavest me life to teach me gratitude. The promise is kept. The circle is closed. Oh, what a reunion that shall be. Tears of sorrow will turn to tears of joy. The silence of separation will be broken by the music of understanding. Therefore, my friend, do not fear the distance that lies between thee and thy child now. It is but a blink of an eye in the vastness of eternity. If thy child is far away, send them thy love on the wings of the wind. It will reach them. If thy child has passed into the next world, know that they are not lost. They are merely waiting. If thy child is near but cold, know that their soul still loves thee, hidden behind the walls of their own learning. Thy task in this life is nearly done. Thou hast learned to see the cause. Thou hast learned to accept the mission. Thou hast learned to speak with kindness and release with faith. Now, all that remains is to live out the rest of thy days with a heart full of peace. Be like the setting sun that paints the sky with gold, promising a new dawn. Be like the great mountain that stands firm, knowing it is part of the earth. Remember the 3 words: gratitude, forgiveness, belief. Carry them like a lantern in the dark. And when the doubt creeps in, when the night is cold, whisper to thyself, "This is not the end. This is only the middle of the story. We are travelers on an infinite journey." And love is the only compass that never fails. The giant Onisaburo once said, "The world is a mirror reflecting the heart. If thou smilest at the mirror smiles back. Smile at thy destiny. Smile at thy child's soul. And surely, in the fullness of time, the smile will return to thee. Go now, brave mother, wise father. The path is clear, the light is within thee. Walk in peace, knowing that thou art never, ever alone. For the bond of souls is the one thing in this universe that cannot be broken. It is the diamond of eternity. Final chapter: Path of Light. Thus, the tapestry is woven, and the picture is made whole. Do not despair, dear mother, dear father, for every tear you have shed is a seed of light. Love, forgive, and trust in the great design. Your child is but a guest from the heavens, a mirror sent to polish your own soul. When you release your attachment, as one sets a bird free to the vast sky, the true bond of love remains eternal and unbreakable. Carry this wisdom in your bosom. Thank you for choosing me. Let this simple prayer be the lamp that guides your feet through the darkest night. You are never alone in this journey. The invisible threads of karma, once knotted in pain, are now bathed in golden light. Go forth in peace, believing in the promise that binds us all. Until we meet again in the great cycle of life, may your heart be light. Thank you for watching. With gratitude.